Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Wireheads podcast. This is part 2 of a 2-part episode. In our first part today, we talked a little bit about where we've come from, the last 50 episodes, because today is episode 50. Wild, still that we're here. I'm sure some of you wish we would go away, but we are like that rotten banana peel behind your desk that you just can't quite fish out. We're still here. Of course, I am Emmerron. I am one of the 2 hosts of this lovely podcast. I have recently been very focused on the professional GM side of things. As I said in part 1, we are coming back very, very soon with some new content to the YouTube channel as well. Of course, I am not alone in this podcast journey. Joining me, as always, is my lovely 2D compatriot and co-host.
Hello everybody, I'm Diamond Dust, netrunning VTuber. I am currently in 2D space just because we were having technical difficulties. Go figure. And, you know, if you came over here from 50 episodes, what the fuck? I mean, welcome. And, Emmerron, what are we talking about on this half of the episode?
So we're going to be talking about something to get philosophical with all of you for just a moment. We're talking about how we're not perfect people, all right? We make mistakes sometime too. And I feel like being honest about that, in reducing the potential deification, shall we say, of the fact that, you know, well, they do it on live streams and they run professional games. They get paid to do this. Surely they make no mistakes. Wrong. We make mistakes all the time. And that is just as true today as it was when I started playing this game. I make fewer mistakes now, I feel, than when I first started. But this part of the episode is a little bit about, as the title would suggest, hindsight and like thinking about where we started, where we are today, and a little bit of discussion around like, okay, when we were new, what absolutely cringeworthy mistakes did we make as GMs, as players, that in today's day and age, with the knowledge that we've gained through making all of those mistakes, like what has changed? How have we improved? So given that this is one of those moments where I think back to my early self in Cyberpunk and like some of the mistakes that I would make, I think one of the biggest for me personally was very much not understanding the economy. I think I've talked about this before quite a lot between my own personal videos and the podcast, but basically I did not know, nor did several of my friends. Like I was not the only one making these mistakes. I want to make that very clear. Even into like Tales of the Red Street stories, my friends and I were making mistakes on this, where we were looking at access on like, okay, well, we knew from the core rulebook that fixers needed to be the ones to get things that were over 500 eddies. Like we knew that angle of it, but that didn't really answer for us. Like, well, how scarce is scarce? Like, does that mean 500 eddy items, you'll never find them? Does it mean 500 eddy items, you'll only maybe sometimes find them? And then what about the stuff above that? You know, like when we lean up into 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 eddy items, what the hell does that even look like? And we made a lot of mistakes very early on. I know between me and the other GMs that I play under, we made a ton of mistakes where that was concerned, thinking like even 100 eddy items were sometimes not easy to find. Scarcity was something that we very much had to like learn a lot about in order to finally get comfortable with it. It actually took Black Chrome coming out with the rules clarifications that it had for any of us to understand, like, oh,
same,
that's what you're supposed to do. And then it all made sense. But until then, it was very like, oh my God, what are we doing? And like stumbling in the dark, it felt like a lot of the time to get a grasp on like what was supposed to be right, what was supposed to be wrong, for allowing a player access to certain things. So yeah, that's to kick us off. The economy, for those of you struggling with that even today, there's a reason I made a video on it, because I felt it was very, very important, since it is such a critical element of what makes Cyberpunk Red feel like Cyberpunk Red, is the fact that you have some scarcity. Things aren't all easy to get. You can't just turn down to the corner store and like pick up whatever you want. You have to be mindful of the way that the world works in order to get your hands on the best stuff. So that has been an incredibly good lesson to learn. And I generally don't beat myself up about it, because like the fact they need to clarify it in an article at the back of a book was very much, it was vindicating, because I felt like, oh good, I'm not the only one. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's my first little hint of hindsight here. So Diamond, I'm curious, what have you got to lead us off with here on this?
So my first Cyberpunk Red game, where a friend of mine from the Philippines was just like, "Hey Diamond, have you ever played Cyberpunk before?" I'm like, "What's Cyberpunk?" I'm like, "Have you heard about Cyberpunk 2077?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you need to come play this game." And I'm like, "Okay, all right." And mind you, I had, put 5e to the wind, and I had been playing a lot of Pathfinder at the time. So, the way that you improve in, traditional D20 fantasy RPG is, you gather experience from, going on adventures, taking on big challenges. I guess if you're one of those tables that goes by, rules as written, burning down a orphanage would technically get you some experience, I guess. But anyway, the improvement points system. When I was first introduced to it, I thought I had to save up, improvement points, and like I would keep those improvement points when I would rank up something. And it's just like, and I thought it's like, okay, do you have enough improvement points that you would be able to meet this merit? And I'm like, yeah, I'd be able to do that, so on and so forth. And finally my GM was just like, wait, how do you... And they were thinking there, like, how do you have 10 in paramedic? And I'm like, well, I have the 400 points needed. And they're like, hold on, let me look at your sheet. And like, okay, guys, one sec. And like, I had to have it explained to me that improvement points are not like experience points. It's a currency that you spend for, your skills, your difficult skills, and your roll abilities. Again, we got it all sorted out, and this was one of those things of just like, it was the growing pains into a new system. But I found that I like this. Like, don't get me wrong. I will always enjoy a good game of Pathfinder. But there's something about like the, earning this to where you spend it to improve. It's sort of like, spending points into like a tech tree to improve your skills in a game. Or like, getting shade caches in Division to spend on gear as well, as something really relevant to what I've been playing recently. Mm-hmm. You find ways to improve your abilities by spending these improvement points.
Yeah.
And it feels pretty stinking good. But yeah, that was my cringeworthy thing. Also, you do not need to award the party, over 80 IP ever. I had to learn that. Yes. And also, there's a reason they have it set in 10s, because our GM awarded us 75 improvement points. And it's just like, well, what do we do with these 5 improvement points? And like, good question.
Premium currency. This is just premium currency in a tabletop game where you'll get a weird little like add-on to the end that's going to bug you forever until you buy more.
Oh gosh. Oh,
That's what that is. That's what you do if you really want to harass someone in ELO. Find a point-based system, give them a useless integer of points, and like watch them just melt under the frustration. It's hilarious. Yeah, I would say improvement points were something that I did not faux pas quite as hard into that, because like we understood pretty well what that system was supposed to look like when we started figuring it out. My big thing for it was discovering, kind of to your point about you don't need to award more than the 80 at the top of the scale ever, and to be okay with that, because I was so used to to D&D, where like you had a degree of like you will get X amount of experience and then you will level up and you will get stuff. And because there are in 4th ed D&D, again, this is mostly what I am experienced in. 5th ed D&D is a problem. 4th ed D&D had 30 levels instead of 5th ed or some of the other editions 20. And 30 levels was a lot. So there was a pretty consistent like pace of like you go through adventure, you get experience points, you get the next level, you get new stuff, you do that ad infinitum until you arrive at the end, and then have some awesome like epic finish to the journey. And so to like go from that, where progress felt pretty consistent and like things were kind of always growing on your character sheet, to a system where like they meant for you to spend some sessions not spending any IP, because growing and learning and becoming better at skills was something that should take time. Like James even said this as much in our interview with him, was that like it's very much intended that way, because you need time to grow, you need time to get better. And so like that was a pretty solid learning pain for again, not just me, but like most of the groups that I've played with early on when I was starting to learn Cyberpunk, was very much like, okay, we are going to need time to build up. It's not going to be this like jingling keys like, oh, watch over here, there's progression over here, guys. It's going to be like the slow, methodical, okay, I plan my next level that I want to put on my sheet is Netrunner 6. Like when I get Netrunner 6, then we'll talk about other stuff. But like I want Netrunner 6 for all these reasons. And every session would be in service of that goal. And you would always make progress toward it. It just would not be fast progress all the time. It would take a while. And that's okay. I've learned that is absolutely okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And so like Prepper Jack is saying some stuff in here. Let's see. So Prepper Jack, well, core rules. Let's see. Oh yeah. So there's a couple things. Or they could reduce improvement points and the cost of improvement points by a factor of 10. You could do that. That isn't wrong. I do like having the 10s though. The 10s makes it feel better. Which is a weird thing to say, but there's something about 2 digits instead of 1 that does feel better. And if they were cool, they would make IP hexadecimal like true nerds. Yes, hexadecimal numbers. That is exactly the sort of thing that we need in a tabletop game that can already be confusing, at times frustrating to learn and navigate. That is exactly what we want, is more of that. So yeah, no, like ultimately I think that it does what it's supposed to do. I think it's designed a particular way, obviously for a reason, and I quite like the way that it is currently designed where that is concerned. So yeah, I have nothing really negative to say on that front there. So yeah, that would be where I can commiserate with you on IP. Have you got another one for me?
I'm wondering if you've ever had this, but like I've had rocker boys that are like, no, the corporations are not bad.
And some might believe that. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I don't think that that's a faux pas. I think that that is, yeah, corporations are necessary in some walks of life. Like, guarantee you that rocker is going to feel very differently about the, local headquarters for Zeta Tech getting firebombed versus their local laser light shop where they buy their guitar and instruments. They're going to have a better affinity for laser light than they would for that, tech corp. Unless they have some direct connection. Yeah, some rockers, obviously corporate pop exists.
Yeah,
some rockers have
true.
to. Yeah, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But please tell me, like,
I've had group members, and like we're talking dealing with a certain Biotechnica suit that definitely will not, definitely does not have plans for dealing with you after you deal with a secret offsite lab that they needed you to clean up. And they're like, yeah, no, look, the corporations would never do anything like that. That's bad PR. They don't do stuff like that.
sure
just kind of seeing them just like absolutely like their world get rocked after definitely not Kansas was a great time.
Yeah. No, corporations are not good, but they aren't inherently evil either. Not all of them, at least. But the people within them can be. And that's the thing that we need to remember is like, there are gigs where it makes it very clear, even like pre-ring gigs in specific here, where like corporations can show you both their very human side that the average person can empathize with. There are others where they will show their absolute ass to you and send hitmen after you and like try to double cross you. Like all that sort of stuff is very, very, very much part of the cyberpunk experience, and I feel like discrediting or discounting the existence of either half of that is to the honestly the peril of the player, because the reality is that like no like you are just as likely to be helped by a corp as you are to be double crossed and killed by them, and you have to be able to parse the difference very, very quickly and feel those vibes out like as quick as you can, because that is what will keep you alive.
I suppose another thing, reputation was something that I got wrong for a while.
Yeah, us too. We thought it was kind of like a secondary level up system, and it's not.
Yeah, because at first I thought it was like your reputation, a bit like V, where your reputation just grows, like by ranks. No, actually, certain events earn you certain kinds of reputation, and I learned that I had the cold water dumped on me actually during Street Stories at Emmerron's table as a nice fresh reminder of, hey, reputation 10 can kind of suck.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and Prepperjack points out, yeah, it can be a target on your back. It really depends on what your reputation was earned by, and it depends on how far out the word got, and that is the two things that you need to keep in mind with that. That is the fun part where getting to do that to you guys in that campaign was glorious. Anytime my players make them, in that instance, it wasn't so much a mistake as there was role play. It was role play. There were choices, but I felt the character. I felt the character. Yeah, exactly. The character was well represented at least. So like, I was down for it. The thing about that very much though is, yeah, like if you make the wrong choice, and you do the wrong thing in the wrong part of town, it usually means your life expectancy is measured in much shorter units of time than years. So that was fun to get to showcase pretty effectively there. It's something I'm never afraid to do.
This raises a question. When people roll face down involving a certain reputation event, would the person need to know about that certain reputation event happening? That's something that I've always been kind of stuck with, is just like, okay, but like, yeah, you could be, you know, John Cyberpunk, the guy that, you know, wiped out, you know, a whole swath of Maelstrom and one of their underbosses. But, you know, that's up in Upper Marina, and you could be wandering around Haywood. No one would know about this. Like,
I think that there's definitely... That's why I think the reputation scale exists to begin with, right? Because it's like, if your rep is only like a 3 or a 4, your reputation you've earned is mostly usable in like one pocket of the city. Mm-hmm. But the taller that reputation scale gets, the more the city and eventually even the world knows about your existence. And that is where it gets dangerous. That's where I've always said reputation is, because like we've talked about this before, about how reputation can be interpreted a couple different ways. It can be interpreted either as a, once you have it, you don't lose it. Or you can interpret it as a sliding scale where like, today I'm at a 10, tomorrow, depending on what I've done, I might be able to bleed some of the notoriety off, especially if the 10 was something I don't want to be known for, right? That's where I think it adds a little bit of narrative agency for like medias and rockers and even fixers to a certain degree, to then get involved and be like, okay, here's what we're going to do about making sure our reputation does not precede us in the wrong ways, and like sort that out before the issue comes to a head, essentially. And that's something where I think I've always used reputation that way, where it very much is a sliding scale and it can affect you in particular ways. But it should always be a pretty reliable metric for like, if you walk into a room and you are recognized, what is that person going to think about you, right? How likely are they to recognize you? Like if your face is posted across the city on wanted posters, they're going to recognize it, probably. Like the odds are very, very good that they're going to look at you and be like, hey, I know you. And it's not a good thing. And you're suddenly going to be like getting a little more paranoid. Maybe your hand is going to be hovering near the grip of your gun that's holstered away, just underneath your, you know, shirt line, like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that reputation used that way is an incredible thing. When I learned how to effectively use that and how it was supposed to kind of get meted out as well as kind of managed at tables I've played at and run, that really helped be like, we are playing Cyberpunk. Like, we are fully playing Cyberpunk. There's no question about it. Or you could be known for harassing the city for weeks on end through a spam campaign over an art fair. Or that, which has nothing to do with that group that he is part of and what they're doing at my table on Fridays. It's incredible.
And gosh, now my brain's kind of sifting through net running, and I'm sure you can't blame anyone for getting net running wrong early on, because net running is its own jungle itself. And I always thought that, like, when we were first produced net running, that it was very much a situation of, yeah, you are on site, but like at the same time, it was either, you know, you take your net actions or you take your meat action. And early on, it was thought that, you know, if you were net running just because the way we see it in a bunch of other cyberpunk media, you're kind of a sitting duck.
Yeah.
But so it made me a little nervous to start net running really early on until we realized, no, wait, you're actually seeing the world outside just through some goggles.
Yeah.
Later on virtuality.
Well, and that was something that my group picked up on, that even back in the Jumpstart kit, that like I was never truly a sitting duck. But I built my character all wrong for taking advantage of that. I will say that much. It was very much a thing though that I enjoyed net running. Like being a net runner in Red, even in the earliest iteration of it, was so much fun. Like,
oh yeah.
Like the high risk, high reward elements of it were just like that was addictive. It still is. Like I'll still play a Netrunner any chance I get, just because the gameplay loop behind it is so satisfying to watch it play out.
Let's see. Also speed. I thought speed was just, how fast you were like how many floors you could move through the net per turn. Because I had looked a little bit at ice combat, and like I knew you had to deal with ice if you encountered it. Or well, black ice specifically. Need to clarify nowadays. Eesh. Anyway, but like having to roll speed checks against black ice made a lot of sense after it was clarified to me by Emmerron, and I always thought it was just like, you roll the speed check, you keep on moving, and you can forego the slide check, but nope.
No, they're set off on you. That was actually, to bring it into that part of net running, that was a very recent faux pas that I made live on your stream when I was playing in the game as 8-bit, where I made a grave error thinking that you could slide from multiple black ice at once. And it took me
I thought so too.
Reading around on Reddit to learn that no, you can only ever slide from one black ice at a time. Then I reread the core rules, and lo and behold, it's there. It's there in black and white. You can read it. But no, like it's one black ice, one slide. That's what you get.
But I assume that rule about sliding for black ice is not under the slide program or like the slide command, is it?
I believe it is. I'll look for it so that
I got it.
Any one of you who want to look this up for yourselves later, you can do so. But yeah, no, net running is complicated. There's no shame in getting things wrong. If you do, it is just good to keep in mind that you learn that and say, going forward, we will do it the correct way.
You can only attempt one slide per turn. You can't slide preemptively.
Yeah, and then I think, so you can only attempt one slide a turn. You cannot slide preemptively. And then there was also, let me find slide.
Page 200.
Yeah. So attempt to flee combat with a single non-demon black ice program is a net action. So it is all there. It's just you have to read it very carefully, because you can flee from a single non-demon black ice as a net action, and then you make a slide check versus their perception, and then can escape, and they will not chase you. You basically are able to effectively disengage. But that means any floor with multiple black ice on it, you need to be ready to deal with whichever one you did not slide from. Or have a tech invent a program for you that while running, you can slide from more than one black ice at a time. I would say to GMs considering that option, I would highly recommend being very careful, because that is a very good way to start breaking action economy. If you do something like that, it's designed that way for a reason. And I would probably not exceed 2 black ice per evasion attempt at that point. And still keep it to 1 per turn. So it is relatively fair, right? Because believe me, most black guys will still catch you out on slides, because slides don't have any boosters for them. At least not as of right now. We don't have any boosters for them. That could change in the future when we get another net running supplement someday, eventually, in the far future. Like, we've been told before when we've asked James about, hey, James, when are we going to get more net running? He's like, I think it's the most complete system in the entire game. I don't know that it needs anything more. I'm like, but I want more. I want to know more. I like more net running. More net running good.
All right. What other rulings have we kind of looked back and like, oh, that should have been different?
This is one that every novice to Cyberpunk will have made at some point in their time with the system. And to this day, I still will stand and say that I think this is done in probably the most confusing way possible. Especially given that most systems that I've been acquainted with at any point between D&D and post learning about Cyberpunk, because those are kind of the two big epochs. Once I learned about Cyberpunk, my eyes were wide open. I started exploring a bunch of other stuff. I've got Cyborg, I've got Morkborg, I've got, all the Free League stuff I've tried. I've got now Daggerheart, I've got Dragonbane, and almost every single one of those, with the exception of contested roles, determine success against a static number by meeting the number, not beating it. And the fact that they have made it so that the DVs in this system have to be beaten instead of met, I still stand as like one of the more questionable decisions. Because all you needed to do was say the DV is one number higher than what they've currently got, and you need to meet or beat that number in order to preserve the range accuracies and stuff like they currently do. And I think that would be a better way of navigating that, because I know that every single time, even now, like with experienced players, there are times where I will sit down, we'll play a game, and partway through, someone will have rolled, say like they roll a 15 on a DV15 action, and they're like, oh yeah, and I'm like, no, you didn't do it because you didn't beat it, you only met it. And then they look and they're like, oh shit, that's right, fuck. And it's like the most disappointing moment. That is something that I will stand to today, even now, and say like they made a very questionable decision doing it that way, because it's very non-intuitive from every other system that I've had experience with. And Phantom agrees with me, not to, stroke my ego here or anything, but Phantom agrees, saying, so true. This seems to get overlooked every time one of my R. Yeah, that is very much. They turn into R tables after a certain point. Picks up the game after hiatus. Yeah, it's like I'm usually the one making the corrections too, and it's only because I run this so regularly. If I was regularly taking breaks from this game, it would probably need to be reminded to me at least once or twice before it kicked back in as muscle memory. Like, oh, yeah, that's right. I've got to beat DVs, not meet DVs.
And
yeah.
I do agree with you on this, but partially for me, because with Cyberpunk, I like the difficulty spike with it.
Yeah.
Where, you have to rely on more than just your raw stat to prevail. Yeah. And it's something I enjoy, because I've seen it in D&D or Pathfinder, where it's just technically my strength score is this, so I'm just gonna pass even if I roll a 2. Yeah. Or something like that. And it's just I like having it to where you have to actually invest into those skills. Right. One of the things that I look at though is meat would be good, but maybe at a higher difficulty rate.
Well, that's what I was
one
saying.
of the things is auto fire.
If you just add one, yeah, auto fire is the one. That is the one reason why you can't do it that way.
Because, well, the thing is, it's just like, you know, you multiply it for every point beyond the DV earned. That, you know, if you just barely pass with the assault rifle, you're hitting them for about as hard as you would with a medium pistol.
Sure.
You would have been better off shooting with one shot. That I have like, personally, I'm not a fan of it. Like, there needs to be some payoff for taking that kind of risk and actually succeeding on it. And it kind of sucks when, you know, I watch someone only get, you know, a ×1 multiplier on their 2d6.
I disagree, and I will tell you why. Because if you're really skilled at auto firing a gun, you'll be able to hold that grouping pretty tightly. If you are not, though, that thing's going to jump all over the place, and that's why maybe you're only landing a single, like, kind of scatterbrained round out of the 10 you're throwing down range with that. And so I don't feel as bad about that, because there is still the chance for that one round to do a critical injury. I do think that there are times where those bands end up a little too high for it to be truly successful. And so that's where I keep hoping that, especially after seeing that in Red Mist, we know we're getting a new range bracket for at least a type of gun. And they kind of hinted in there that there may be more to that. So I'd be curious to see if we do see an update to auto fire in some capacity, or if we get range tables for different types of guns that are capable of it, that change that modifier somewhat. Because obviously firing like an HMG or even an LMG is going to be a very different sort of auto fire than firing like a submachine gun would be, for example, or even like certain smaller ones. Like if you found a way to like attach a bump stock or something, and you're controlling the auto fire that provides you through recoil or whatever, that is also a very different type of difficulty. So like it would be interesting to see some variety there. I agree. And I would like to see it, you know, make some variants of auto fire just slightly easier than it currently is. Because yeah, X2, and then requiring that you still, even at a 14 base, you have to roll at least a 4 to get a ×1 at the beginning is that's very a lot.
It's like, yeah, like anytime you look at like, you know, SMG, you know, that DV17, if you roll an 18, that's only 2d6 damage.
Yeah.
Or you have to roll a 19 or better to get any damage. Like,
that's appreciable with it.
That's decent.
Yeah. Well, the important thing to remember too, though, is 2d6 multiplied by 2 works differently than adding extra d6s into the pool, and usually it works for the better than it does against you. More often, multiplying 2 dice means more consistent outputs than rolling more dice. So that at least does band it somewhat, and that does help. But I agree, yeah, you need to have a beat of at least 2 in order to really pass into a range that is like workable as far as like decent damage most of the time. Because God forbid you roll like a 2 and a 3, and then you're like, I did 10 damage. Yay.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel great, but that's where it's like, that's where there could be other solutions to that. Such as tech inventions, or smart making like some amendments to smart ammunition to allow them to reroll the damage once if it succeeded by 2 or less, so that you could see about like, okay, yeah, sure, you only hit for like, you know, a multiplier of 2, but maybe that multiplier of 2 landed in a spot that's particularly advantageous because of the smart seekers. So you re-roll the damage and take the higher of the 2. And who knows, maybe they didn't. Maybe they deflected off of some pretty thick parts of their armor and only bruised the skin underneath. They didn't actually penetrate. That's also possible. You know, that's where you can kind of suss that out. I think that's a good region for tech invention to an extent to take place. But yeah, I'm very interested to see if we get more weapon types that would change that auto fire range bracket, because we have seen to that end, to a certain extent, in ELO Magic Returns, we've seen that they have some auto fire reminiscent range brackets in there that are very non-standard for everything else that we see. So there's something happening there. I have a feeling. I have a vibe and a feeling, and I'm hoping that we're getting something, because I agree. There's a feels bad element of that is not great. Does not feel great.
Oh, what else? What other error? Because, oh, what else? I'm getting better about it, but and I think because there's now more options out there for it, it's made it helpful. But the players are, I don't know if it's a bad thing, but the players somehow pull up a lot of money.
Let me ask this. How often do you offer less than dangerous type missions?
Like standard or easy?
Mm-hmm.
Those tend to be the norm, not the exception.
Okay. Because that's where I was like, I used to offer dangerous missions way too often, and that's, or not.
Dangerous missions take too much for me to plan sometimes. I'm lazy.
Well, and see, the thing I've learned about mission planning, this is maybe like as a sort of addendum to that for my own experience, because I agree. I used to have a big issue with it until I realized that, well, there's a couple of tricks. The first is offer less dangerous missions. Or if you are going to offer a dangerous mission, offer with it a degree of kickback that your players then need to account for. And what I mean by that is they need to hide or lay low for a week or two after. And that's like almost mandatory if they don't want bad consequences out of it. And if you do that, it restricts the amount that they can earn in that month. The other way I've gotten around that is offer something that amounts to a dangerous mission, but in addition to it, offer it alongside a lower monetary reward, but offer perks to make up the difference. Because by doing that, you're still awarding the players, and you are giving them some money, but maybe they're only getting like 1,000 out of it. Like, misjudge your jobs essentially, or if you aren't misjudging them intentionally, make it so that the job in question pays out through multiple forms rather than an implicit, like, you will get paid this amount of money and it is always just money, but that, I agree, was like something I dealt with for a long time. It took me a while to get my head wrapped back around, like, okay, you don't need to be doing the big stuff all the time. This isn't, the Fast and the Furious where we need to, one up ourselves every single story that we're telling in this universe. Like, we don't need to be shooting cars into space or anything like that. I have not shot cars into space. I have, however, finished a campaign there. So like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to be trying to save the city. This isn't fantasy RPGs where, like, you're trying to tell a very heroic, very epic story. It's like, no, you're a group of people in a city trying to survive, usually through less than legal means. And that is what makes Cyberpunk its own thing. And that was something that it took me a long time to, both with IP and money, wrap my head around. No, this is the amount that they should be awarded. This is the level of access that they should typically be awarded to higher end items. if they aren't rolling on it. Like these are the things that you should do in order to make it so that your players aren't like hoarding wealth. And if they do manage to hoard some, it is entirely by their own choices. They have not gotten there by my over awarding them the money. It is, no, they've been saving that money for like 12 sessions in a row, and now they just have enough to afford that linear frame that they wanted. And that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, that's very much where I've gotten with it, is it's like, offer more low paying gigs, offer gigs that maybe pay multiple ways. And if you are offering a gig that pays really, really well, like 2,000 or 3,000 eddies, make sure that there are reasons to lay low afterward, or that they may not want to seek other work in the immediate aftermath, because what they just did is extremely risky to their long-term health and reputation, potentially.
Okay.
Yeah. I think of Konpeki Plaza, and you've got a pretty good template for that.
Yeah, I think about that, but also like trying to make night markets that are appealing to my players, or they will actually want to spend cash.
Well, and that's where. Do you do player wish lists? Is that something you? Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
And they happen to be at the night market.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll wait till next time around. So what? It's just not there next time around?
I mean, that's like, you just make it so, oh, damn, Choom. Yeah, I know you really were looking for that. Problem is, that guy just took it, and you just present them with a cyber psycho, basically. That may or may not be cyber psychotic, but is absolutely geared up like one, but with that souped up gun they were looking for, or that bit of chrome that they were looking for.
Granny Ed.
Granny Ed.
Granny Ed.
Granny. Why do you think that is the first place my mind drifted to when we started making a Black Friday? Is like, yeah, there are other people. They want the same shit you want, and go figure, they got there before you. Too bad, so sad. Are you gonna fight them for it? Like, and with that, potentially damage your reputation, because that's the other side of that coin. Yeah, I mean, that's the implicit like potential consequences for your or for your lack of taking it, right? For the decision not to take it, these are the consequences that you get meted for that. Yeah, like if you aren't taking that item that was very clearly like, I put this here for you, you have the ads, I can see your character sheet. Like, if you aren't taking it, know that it doesn't have to be there next time. Like, or I may call for you to make a luck roll. And if you make it, great. Like, maybe it is there. But if you fail, Edna's got it. You can see her, tottering away with her walker that has submachine guns on the bottom of it if she turns it up at you. Just saying, like, Night City is a fun little place, and it's full of people who want those same guns.
Getting this for my grandson. Anyway, what was that?
My little grandson Jimmy has been really wanting one of them fancy little Perseuses, and well, I just came along, and wouldn't you know it, they had the last one. Lucky me. Tucks it into the walker while the edge runner in front of her is looking at it like, oh. Yeah. Oh, them boosters aren't even gonna see it coming. Oh boy, I can't wait to see little Jimmy's face.
Little Jimmy isn't even little.
No, little Jimmy is like 6'3" and has a linear frame Sigma. But she's known him as, he's in her mind's eye, he's not the 6'3" chromed out monstrosity that he is today. He's like still 5 in her mind. That's very much the way that works.
No, Walker have an AV4 upgraded combat I probably not.
You're looking for the thing you're looking for is the bellhop, and potentially that could.
Yes.
You just get a what is it, a Tamsin bellhop, that can transform, but instead of it being like, your little Samsonite roller bag, it is instead a walker, like with little wheels under it. And that is your little convertible AV. That could be fun. That could be a fun little tech swapperoo there. Could be a good time. Granny gun murder, yeah. Either that or they want a drone rail. Yeah, the drone rail, jeez. Whose designs got stolen from the tech. That's another fun thing you could do is steal ideas from your players at times and make them fight to get them back. Adding conflict here and there is always fun because then the players get to determine whether or not they want to, whether it's worth fighting for. You ask them the question very straightforwardly at first, like, do you want it? No, I'll do it next time. Okay, cool. Well, next time I might not be asking quite so straightforwardly. Next time the question will be, well, they did have it, but now they have it, or they stole it. And that crew, that came through that you saw speeding out of here in the Gorgon, yeah, they've got your gun. So sorry, Chum. Better luck next time. Do you want to chase them? Like, is that what you're going to do right now for that gun? Is it that important to you? And if it is, we have a gig now that I didn't need a plan because I know the gonks that took it. I know their stat blocks. They're probably ripped out of Danger Gal Dossier or one of the hardened Mook stat blocks. And like, we roll it. It's a chase into a combat into, ta-da, you now have your Perseus. Congratulations. Like, but you had to fight for it. I think that's so fun. It's always such a good time.
All right. Well, it's coming down to that last bit. Q&A?
Yep. Q&A. Let's do it. Chad, if you have any questions that you would like answered, please feel free to put those into our chat, which is unified. We are a communist chat. I'm just kidding. We have...
yeah. But as we learned, hindsight is in fact 2020.
Hindsight is in fact 2020. This was Diamond's suggestion. I'm proud of her for it because I was gonna suggest something far less interesting. Yeah, let me do Q&A. Those of you who are here live know it because you can hear us between each segment of the show, which is another reason that if you can, you should come join us. Thursdays at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, over on our Twitch channels, which we unify for this one moment.
Where is
segue with Combat Plow and Nitrous? What a combo! The billionaire buster, as we like to call them. See, fighting for it at the wrong time to bring them on.
Store cavalry.
What was that?
The department store cavalry.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be so fun to have like a mall cop booster gang of a sort. That could be super funny.
Oh god, a Paul Blart booster gang.
A Paul Blart. Oh yes, please. You've taken it to a level I wasn't willing to. Thank you. You're so brave.
I hated that about my old job. Like, all right, Paul Blart. Okay, Paul Blart.
Jesus.
All right, Paul Blart. I'm like, call me Paul Blart one more time. Call me Paul Blart one more motherfucking time.
See, and that's where I'm like, you could lean it either way. Either it's a group of like very low-ranking lawmen that just protect like a shopping center, or it could be that it's a full-blown poser gang, and the guy you're pissing off might not do anything. Maybe they've just got that stun baton like it looks like they do. Or they're the booster gang variant, and suddenly 2 pop-up SMGs rocket out of their arms, and lo and behold, you have a much bigger problem than you estimated you did. Let's see. Most beneficent Politburo hacking cyberware in combat in 2045. How would you handle from discussion on the Artal farms today? Hacking.
I didn't see discussion in the forums.
Hacking Chrome in the 2040s. That is fascinating. I would say we start with the agent because agents can be hacked. We know they can be hacked. We have rules for hacking them. And if your agent can interface with Chrome, then that Chrome can also, by extension, be hacked because you can access the agent to do it. So I would say it starts there. It starts with the little vulnerabilities, because the reason Neuroport net running and hacking, and thus quick hacking by extension, is possible in the 2070s is because the Neuroport links to all of your cyberware and all of it is constantly connecting out and back.
Yeah.
But in a very limited fashion in the 2040s, if you can hack an agent, you can hack the Chrome that it's connected to. This can include things like biomonitors, bear in mind. So if they've got a biomonitor linked to that agent, you could have some very interesting times. Those of you who have played Hacknet will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh dear.
There's some fascinating stuff you do in Hacknet with pacemakers, is all I'm going to say. So yeah, the Internet of Things is a wild place to exist. There's a reason why most IT connected people are not, if you're conscious about it, you're not buying up all of these smart devices. You're trying to avoid them like the plague as much as possible, because they are actively problematic if they are vulnerable to hacks.
I'm one of those guards that if the printer made any weird noise, I was ready to shoot it at any given time.
So like
multiple times.
Diamond's wife sent a text to one of our group chats earlier today that was fully descriptive of this, where it's like IT or what was it? Tech enthusiasts. Oh my God, look, my whole house is smart. I have a smart thermostat. I have a smart doorbell. Isn't this great? Technology is awesome. I can control it all from my smartphone. IT professionals, nothing in my home is smart. The newest appliance that I have connected to any kind of internet is a printer from 2004, and I have a gun on standby in case it makes any weird sounds. It's like, yeah, it's incredible. Like, that's exactly the way I try to live my life to the best of my ability. There's some very small exceptions, but they're not the usual ones. They're not like doorbells. They're not locks. They're not anything with my thermostat. Not anymore. I used to have a smart thermostat. We changed that because that kept breaking on me. So stupid thermostat it isn't. The stupid thermostat works great. So yeah, that's very much where we would start.
Oh my God, Prepper Jack.
Let's see, what does he say? It's all fun and games till you find a Nigerian prince hiding in your fridge. Exactly. But that's why I'm like, I find it interesting, like how we get to the 2070s where everything is hackable is by making more things hackable in the 40s. And that's where it's like, I think your agent is hackable. We also now know that entities beyond the black wall can start connecting to devices within a ConApt potentially, thanks to the miasmatasms that we got at the end of Magic Returns. Those of you who discounted that just because it's an ELO DLC, I highly encourage you read all the way to the end of that for the miasmatasm, because that is a rogue AI. That is a rogue AI stat block. You now have one. You can see what they look like. And it's so much fun now that we know that those exist. And agents are the gateway by which a lot of that can interface with our everyday lives. There's a reason why Gen 2 Chrome is disconnected from each other. Someone realized that early on, and Jacinda Hidalgo is the one trying to make that not happen. And if we follow canonical time, we'll eventually succeed at making her dream a reality, where there are Gestalt consciousnesses within Night City. We know this because there were those two Street Fighters in 2077 that have a linked mind. That is exactly what Hidalgo wanted, was that to happen. Well, that's a good tip about the miasma. Yeah, no, miasmatasms are the thing that when I first saw that article in its earliest iteration as a playtester, I lost my shit and I was like, this is going to be so hard not to talk about this. because this is so cool. It's gonna be so hard to not use this, to talk about it, to do nothing with this until release day. Now that the release has happened, I'm like, finally, I can breathe. I can use this lovely thing that I feel was missing from the broader Night City experience.
Here we go. Interesting question here. Would it be reasonable to incur certain brands certain bonuses when it comes to wardrobe and style, or face down checks?
Sure.
And how would you implement it?
+1s or +2s, same as anything else. And where, if we care about it, like if the group that you're trying to impress cares about it, it's a +1 or +2 situational.
Oh yeah, which, I imagine, walking into the boardroom with a Militech Avenger, which, I mean, why would you be walking into the boardroom with a handgun's a better question. How are you allowed to have a handgun in the office? I have many questions. But, it makes a statement, especially to a bunch of very lightly armored individuals sitting in this boardroom. Now, you might be, you might be something big and bad in the boardroom, but as soon as some booster ganger, gets in front of you, gets in line in front of you there at the local bar to go get a drink, you try to pull your gun on them, they're gonna laugh at that little pea shooter.
Yeah,
they will.
Well, and as Proper Jack points out, in some offices throughout the city, depending on the corporation, those might actually be mandatory, and not even close to why would you bring that to the office? It's why haven't you brought one? Like,
yeah, given, of course, pointing something like, the Gun Mart special at someone, it's not a very imposing piece of irony.
You want an overlord. If you're going to go for a Gun Mart and try to intimidate with it, you want the overlord.
And I guess if you're trying to rep a certain brand, sure. And probably depending on the type of crowd you're in, like especially if you're like amongst the Asia pop crowd, or maybe I guess apparently now the Piranhas as well. Sanru is the way to go. Or I guess in the case of Bazooka Joe, Tsunami. But I think about, something like Arasaka, where I could see that being a very unsettling thing to see get pulled out, because, Arasaka's not around. Where did you find that thing? Because, I mean, the Benami was a very, very impressive SMG, and a very treasured one from 2020 that made it in Toggle's Temple.
I think we technically had a variant of it in the weapon examples at the back of the core book. It's just that most people didn't take that to heart, that this is what it is. It's like they just were like, what do you mean standard heavy SMG? This is boring. It's like, we have brands. Here they are. They existed even back then. There were very few of them, but they existed. And Black Chrome came out, 3 years later? Not even. It's like 2.5 years later to be like, and here are the rest of them. And
then we even got more gun brands at Toggle's Temple.
Yeah.
Okay, Fish, what do you have for me today?
Let's see. Phantom says, rolling in with Macedo Techwear might impress Faisal, but won't mean shit to a corp shark. Exactly. That's pretty much where it comes down to, and I'm hopeful, because I don't know if I've heard the rumblings on this or these are just rumors, but I believe that part of what the setting guide that we're getting in Edgerunner's Guide to Night City, part of what that's going to be is defining what is acceptable wardrobe behavior, etc. within each of the districts. So part of that very well might be, hey, if you're wearing these styles of clothing here, you get a bonus to your wardrobe style checks or, intended to impress or disguise, because these are very standard within this part of the city. Or these brands even give you a bonus within this part of the city. Like, I don't know if they'd go that far because brands are fickle, but style isn't. Style is very, like, you're wearing bag lady chic and you're on the NCU campus. You're one of the cool kids. Congratulations.
So, from Fish, you've had 50 episodes so far. Any plans for any possible homemade supplements or anything in mind for episode 100?
Oh,
Fish.
I was pulling this out. I'm like, what do you mean? We've already made one. No. Yeah, that's.
I mean, maybe like making a Wirehead supplement of some form might not be bad. Like, I've had this joke of, like, Wirehead's the flamethrower or something like that. Where we make we make just absolutely just cheesy gear because I'm gonna make a note in there. It's like, it's for some of y'all, you're always like, where's my gear? Well, here it is.
I think
Wireheads, the heavy pistol.
I think we've got to go through and watch like some Mel Brooks
Absolutely.
movies, Spaceballs, maybe a little Blazing Saddles, just to see where all the ridiculous like faux product placement is, and like make notes, and then like be like, all right, here's Wireheads, the merch, like
as the breakfast kibble.
Right, exactly. Like you get it. Look, Spaceballs is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I will like not be satisfied if we're doing a Wireheads branded merch like thing, supplement of whatever kind that is, without taking reference from the great Mel Brooks. The man knows his stuff when it comes to parody, and I would be remiss to not lead by his example in that regard. So yeah, like we could do something. I know that individually we've kicked back and forth some ideas for things to do where that's concerned, but yeah, it's all of it takes time. That is in high demand and short supply, which is not great. Because both of us.
Question: Wireheads the T-shirt, could that be a thing? And I'm like, maybe.
What, like,
we'd have to figure that.
When you say Wireheads the T-shirt, are we just saying like our logo on a T-shirt? Because like
on a T-shirt,
that is easy. Like I could do that in an afternoon to get that ready for sale. You would just be going through something like
Redbubble or
Streamlabs, or yeah, like there's a couple of merch vendors that do print on demand stuff. That would be no problem.
Oh my god. So wouldn't that be? Yeah, you could have Wireheads merch in game and wear Wireheads merch while playing the game. Wow. Anyway,
disclaimer: Wireheads merch does not provide SP11 in real life. It will not stop a bullet. Please do not wear into an active combat zone. You have been warned. I
don't know. Maybe I'd go talk to the people that make my armor and just be like, "Hey, could we get anyway?"
Wireheads the T-shirt does not provide grade 3 plates. These are not grade 3 plates. Please do not shoot.
Oh, my chest hurts.
Excuse me, level 3. They're levels, not grades.
Level 3.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let me get the vernacular right. It's like calling a pistol magazine a clip. People get triggered about that. I can't avoid that.
Mags. These are mags. But I was thinking about just like this, but yeah, I think we could probably put Wireheads the merch supplement somehow in there, and I guess our we have like other radio stations in Cyberpunk, right? We're just a pirate radio station.
I initially, it's funny that you say that because
Wirehead's a musical.
When we first started talking about the idea of doing the podcast, I had an idea of like an intro sequence that very much pegged us as a pirate radio station. And I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool to do some like in-world theming. That never really materialized, but it very much like That was a thought I had. I'm glad I didn't do it because it would require way more time each week than I really want to put into this. This is like very chill where it's at right now, and I'm okay with this being relatively low effort as far as content creation on my part goes. Like, and I'm sure, yeah, you're no different.
Yeah.
So
I guess Wireheads t-shirt could happen, but we'll get that figured out. And then episode 100 is still 50 episodes away.
It is.
We're trying to get past Gen Con right now.
Yeah.
And trying to get an interview with some of the most elusive people at our Talsorian Games.
Yes.
So that's what I'm busy doing. We'll worry about episode 100 if we live to see episode 100.
I mean, we'll probably live to see it. Whether the podcast survives to see it is a different story. But I don't plan on dying in the next year and a half. That's for damn sure. So a 24-hour live stream with copyright safe cyberpunk music might be doable. I mean, Carl Casey makes it partly easy. Gunship makes it a little easier as well, because I know Diamond's talked with them before and they're very chill.
They were chill for that one thing. The record labels are going to record label.
They are going to record label. This is fair. Like copyright safe is always a question mark in today's world, unfortunately. Even Carl Casey has had some complications with some migration stuff he's done. So like we've had our podcast struck once or not struck, but like we've gotten warned, hey, this is this is copyrighted, we're splitting your revenue. And I'm like, but this is supposed to be royalty free, what are you doing? So yeah, like, yeah, I'm no
somebody keeps doing it. Someone keeps putting a copyright on it that is not Carl, and Carl's been having to fight that.
It sounded like when I read it, it was less that, it was more that like Carl was going under a new rights manager and there was some kind of error that happened with the new rights manager. And it was like, we can rectify it, but we need to know when a particular track comes up so that we can whitelist it. But that's why he's got like a form now that you fill out and it fixes the problem. But yeah, it's a pain. But yeah, I mean, the doable maybe.
The synthwave.
Wireheads, the synthwave. This is where I just talked to some of my music, because I have several musically inclined friends, and we just work on a cyberpunk synthwave album that is enough to fill a entire 24-hour live stream. Jesus Christ, good luck. But yeah, not the least achievable thing. But I would like to just ask in response, okay, what brand of cyberpunk supplement do you want from the Wireheads? Like,
well, I've joked about, Wireheads, the merch as just a fucking just an absolute parody of like, hey, all these corporations make this, but we have this at a cheaper rate because you're not buying the brand.
Yeah. Well, and then Phantom says, Emmerron, tell me when. Phantom, you and I, we can talk.
Oh,
like, we could have some fun. We could have some fun with that.
All right. Any other questions, though?
Yeah, please. Any more questions? We would love to answer. Because I know we are coming down to the end of the time, but we probably have time for one, maybe two more if they're quick. Oh, let's see. Phantom Lisa interview. The ultimate power move. Dude, Lisa's a absolute like god when it comes to keeping the ship righted at Artosorian. Like, if you've ever seen her at a convention, she is one of the key pieces keeping that ship floating. She's incredible. I absolutely love Lisa.
Fun fact, if you go to page 133 of the Cyberpunk Red core rulebook, you will see Lisa Pondsmith's stand-in. Yeah. That just happens to be right next to accounting and business and bureaucracy.
And note that she does have a gun within reach, and that's not an accident. No, it's that They did a really good job capturing her likeness in that art too. Like, it is like a spitting image of her. It's actually insane.
So, I suppose on that, any last comments, questions, concerns, chat? If not, I don't have any more snide remarks to make at this point.
We filled our quota for the 50th episode.
Well, like we've said before, we'll be on next week, but not the following week. A question about Cyberpunk Red. Any predictions about the Cyberpunk Edgerunners 2 anime?
Oh yeah, the Edgerunners 2 anime.
Something I actually was thinking about, like, how we're going to discuss this.
We know we're getting a media just by the inclusion of the camera. Like, yeah, we know we're getting a media as the main character, or at least one of the main characters. It's pretty clear, like, usually when Trigger does something like that, that is a main character. I'll be very interested to see how they go about handling it, though, because we knew next to nothing about Edgerunners 1 before it dropped. We, like, literally got almost no insight.
I literally did my first, like, streamed episode of Cyberpunk Red, and then literally that same week, the news dropped about Netflix putting it out there.
Yeah.
Like, this is in production. Yeah.
Like, it's going to be really hard to make guesses. I think media leads me to believe that, we know two things. We know that this takes place after the events of the first Edgerunners, and we know that the lead is a media, or one of the leads is a media. So it could be very interesting if it follows someone trying to uncover what exactly went down at the center of the city, because we know in the jacket, which takes place, I believe, 6 months later, that the story's been largely buried. Like, no one really knows what happened in Corporate Center that night. They know that it was shut down for a time, and then people kind of just quickly forgot about it. So that leads me to question, okay, but there are truth seekers out there. Inevitably, there's always people who are interested in uncovering and writing the story about the conspiracy theory and, like, how true or untrue it is. So I would be surprised if that doesn't play at least a sort of secondary element in the next season. I would like very much for that to be an element of things. But I mean, it's, there's some really great media stories we see even in Red, like with, the kind of forward to Hope Reborn is told through the eyes of a street media. So, like, if we get something along those lines, it'll be very, very cool.
I suppose, like, when we're looking at this, like, yeah, definitely a street media. One of the things they mentioned in their, like part of this preamble is, like, how do you make your story hit when, this happened, where, the incident with David at Corporate Plaza went down. Like, how do you make a story that punches harder than this?
Well, how do you make that story punch away from the corporate censors? More likely than not, that's going to be the bigger element to that. It's not how do you make it punch harder, it's how do you make it rise above the corporate censorship.
But much like any other Cyberpunk story, one or two people might survive to the end. Maybe. Probably no one.
It'll be a fun ride.
I really hope that they don't pull Adam Smash and Arasaka for this one again. Though that's what I'm saying. Like, we've had that in 2077. We've had that in Edgerunners 1. Like, give us something different. Maybe it's versus Net 54 or WNS this time around.
Right. Well, I think Arasaka is always going to be at least an element because they are the most powerful corporation in the city. And they have the city under their thumb. So, like, they're always going to play a part. We just don't. Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see something where they're more of the sideshow and less the main antagonist. Especially from the media angle. There's so many good stories you can tell where the media landscape of the city is the enemy. And not the big evil arms corporation. Maybe Militech. Maybe Militech. Like I would like to get away from the Militech Arasaka dichotomy of the bad guys though, because it feels very much like those two are always at odds with one another. So if we can get as far from them as possible and tell a more intrigue-based story, something a little more on the noir side, I think that could be very interesting. I think that would be a direction that we don't see media for Cyberpunk go all that often outside of things like Blade Runner. So like, I would like to see some elements of that filter their way into that second season if we're following the media. Someone trying to shut them down, or, you know, they've seen something. Like, my guess is that they're going to see something that a group, whether that's a corporation or a gang, doesn't want released out into the world. That would be like a pretty decent starting point for things. Like with David, he finds the Sandevistan. With this kid, we find, they've seen something they shouldn't have. They got it on tape, and now someone's looking for that. And there's a, collaboration on both sides to either find it or to protect him. That could be very, very interesting as a story to tell, I think.
Oh my god. Fish in DMs, expect the Cyberpunk Edgerunners 2 mission kit to be released in 2027. No, Fish. No.
All right, everyone, start badgering from this day forward. Badger Diamond about when the Cyberpunk Edgerunners mission kit 2 is coming out.
No, do not. Go. I've been through it once. I do not want to go through it again. I will quit. I'll quit. I'll go find a fucking day job.
The best thing about this chat that some of you guys may not be able to hear because my mic is set up appropriately for this is I'm hearing Diamond raging about this in stereo now, and I did not get that initially with this. So, Fish, thank you for giving me the fodder for that one. I appreciate that.
I don't know. Just make a booklet. Just to go with the Edgerunners mission kit. We don't need a whole box. Just maybe a booklet for it.
We just need the Cyberpunk.
Just one adventure.
We just need the 2077 setting guide, like we've been told is coming. That's really what we need. Once we have that, we're set. Like, we're fixed. That's good.
Sure. Maybe another epilogue adventure would be awesome.
It would be,
depending on what the story says. But we're not going to be asking me or Emmerron when it's coming out, because we don't know. It doesn't exist. Just like Rusted Chrome, it does not exist.
We literally learned the release date. I believe it was this weekend.
Oh wait, for the box, we learned release date. I think a week out.
I think it was
we got our media kits, and it was like, hey,
it was hot on the heels of the public getting it as well. Like, we are not going to break an NDA to tell you if we did know. That is the other thing to bear in mind. Even if we did know, we wouldn't tell you, because we are contractually obligated not to tell you if we've signed an NDA to that effect. Or if, we would break embargo to do it, which is the other thing that we don't want to do. But no. It's very rare that we know anything about anything with hard dates associated before public does. And when we do, it is by an order of days between us learning about it and you guys learning about it. I promise. It's very, very little time. So little, in fact, that we literally couldn't make a video or stream in certain cases with enough time to get that information out before Artel released it themselves. So yeah, we will never know a release date ahead of time, unless one of us starts to work for Artel. Artel, if you're listening, I'm here still, like. But no, like, very seriously, if ever I got a job at Artel, suddenly this would probably come grinding down a little bit. Unfortunately, that would be a casualty of that. That update. It would depend, though. I mean, all of it is depending on what that looks like. But yeah, the reality is, I would suddenly get a lot more cagey about what I could say. You would know things are up.
Once again, another corporation kills independent media. Damn.
Yeah. God damn. The independent media wanted to go right for the big corporation. What a fucking sellout, I tell you. Yeah.
I'm screwing with you.
No, I know. No.
All right. Well, I guess with that, I think that's it.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good wrap on episode 50. So guys, if you made it this far in my half of the episode and you're on YouTube, down in the description below, there's a link. It will lead you back to part 1 on Diamond's channel for this episode so that you can see what we talked about, kind of reminiscing about the last 50 episodes where we've come to from here. This half, I elected to talk all about mistakes that we have made before the Q&A. So you'll have the complete picture then. Of course, if you're listening to this on Spotify, you've already got the full picture, guys. Welcome. You've done a great job. Welcome to the end of another episode. But for everybody, both our listeners on the recording of this that will go live on Spotify and YouTube this weekend, or those of you who are here live with us on Twitch as we are recording this, I hope all of you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon wherever you're in the world. Stay healthy, stay safe, and until we see you again, my name is Emmerron.
And I'm Diamond Dust.
And we will see you all very soon. Peace, guys.
Bye.